Hi guys, today we're going to be looking at a 2-inch ribeye on the bone. This piece of meat has been sourced from Hill Farm Finest. I'm going to put a link to it in the description. This is not a paid promotion or anything, but the quality of meat from Hill Farm Finest I've always found to be fantastic. They rear their own cows. They're kind of very organic in the way that they approach their meat, and the quality of cuts that they produce are fantastic as well, and it's delivered right to your door. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at this and preparing this piece of ribeye on the bone using the sous vide method. And as you can see, the meat's pretty dry, and we're going to be seasoning it very shortly. We're then going to cook it from the inside out, and that's what sous vide allows us to do fantastically well. So the sear and the browning will happen right at the end, and the seasoning and the cooking internally of this meat will happen at the beginning. So let's get started. Let's start off with some mayonnaise on the steak, and we're going to kind of just rub this all over. I'm going to absolutely coat this all the way around on the sides and so on as well. I think it gives a great flavor when we kind of eventually end up searing this as well. So make sure you get a good generous coating of mayonnaise all over the steak. Next, I've prepared a rub, which is pretty much about 4 tablespoons of coarse ground black pepper, some Himalayan salt. I've been in for about 3 or 4 tablespoons of that. Added a little bit of a teaspoon of garlic in there as well, garlic granules, and it's as simple as that. I'm going to kind of use that as a rub all over the steak. So let's kind of get that on, and we'll kind of make sure that the whole steak is kind of covered in the rub. So the steak is nicely peppered with the rub and the salt and so on. The next stage of any sous vide process is to kind of put the steak inside a plastic bag. Now typically Ziploc bags will do, but this is a pretty big steak and I want to make sure that everything is sealed. I've got a pretty cheap kind of vacuum sealer that I've got from Amazon that I'm using for this as well. So let's hit vacuum and watch this get sealed. And the idea behind this is that it's obviously going to suck up all the air, and the steak, once it goes in the sous vide bath, is completely sealed, and it's going to get an equal amount of heat that's controlled to a 0.5 degree Celsius for a sustained amount of time. So you can cook slow and low for a longer period of time without worrying about something being overcooked. So that's the idea behind sous vide, and we'll have a look at the sous videing process in a moment. So this looks like it's kind of shrink wrapped and we are good to go. We now have a vacuum packed steak that's got the rub on it, and what we're now going to do with this is we're going to put this in the sous vide bath. So the sous vide setup is pretty simple. I'm using the Anova cooker. It's got a pump in there at the bottom, so it kind of regulates the temperature. The great thing about these is that the temperature's been set to 55 degrees Celsius and the temperature will not go above 55 degrees. So there's absolutely no way that you can overcook your steak or whatever else. It's not, sous videing is not just about steaks, and there are lots of YouTube channels that kind of go into details on how you can sous vide even vegetables and so on as well. But we're going to leave this in there for probably about 3 hours or so, maybe a bit longer because we've got the bone on, and therefore that absorbs a certain amount of heat as well. And the container that I've got is just something that I've got from a hardware store. I just used a very hot knife to cut out this corner here on the side, and serves the purpose really well. So we're going to kind of leave this for a while. One thing to know about the Anova as well, it does connect to your home Wi-Fi, so I've got an app on my phone that kind of tells me what the temperature is, and it kind of regulates it. So you can see it kind of dropped a little bit there, 54.9, probably because I opened up the container and so on, but it'll soon come back to 55, and it will just maintain that temperature for as long as I want it to. What you can see here is I've added a metal grate, just a rack or something, to ensure that both the carrots and the meat are kind of held down. Carrots can have tendency to kind of float, vegetables can to the top. That means one side might not be totally submerged. So just be aware of that as well. So it's been almost 3 hours. It's time to fire up the chimney. So let's get this going. I think I've mentioned this in a previous video. Those of you that don't use chimneys for barbecues, you should really invest in one. They're pretty cheap. £6 off Amazon. You literally light the fire lighters, put this over the top, come back in 20 minutes and your coals will be good to go. Looks like the coals are good to go. Took about 15 minutes or so. Really didn't have to do anything, no fanning or anything. Draws the air in from the bottom and gets the coal. Okay, we have the steak straight out of the bag. And we're now going to put this directly, instead of lighting the whole barbecue, this is going to go straight on the chimney. Okay, so this will give us a great sear on both sides. I'm going to keep flipping it every 2 minutes, and we don't have to worry about the inside of the steak being at the right temperature. Is it being cooked? Because we know that's already happened. So as you can see, I've just added rosemary and garlic and pan fried literally for 30-40 seconds just to get that added flavor in there, and this is looking really good. And once it's kind of cut through, we'll be able to see this very pink middle, which is exactly how I kind of like the steak. It's still firm, it's juicy, it's not dry, and once it's sliced up, it is perfect to the taste. So if you enjoyed watching the video, please subscribe to the meeting hour below. Thanks for watching.